Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's series of the AI Coach Connection Expert Interview Series. And we're very fortunate today to have with us another great expert, Shimizu Smith. Did I pronounce that correct?
It's good enough. Close enough. I've had worse. I'm so
well, why don't you
happy to be
pronounce
here.
it for
Thank
us?
you.
Why don't you
Pardon?
pronounce it for us so we get it straight?
Okay, Rain Shimizu Smith.
Shimizu Smith. Very nice. Okay, good. And so Rain is a Gen Z speaker, AI-powered graphic designer, and an AI business tools consultant. And she merges a background in science and tech with design thinking and business processes. An AI firm believer in the power of AI and the urgent need for timely but informed adoption. She brings AI's transformative potential to clients, elevating her visual presence and operational efficiency. Rain speaks about AI-powered design, the deep AI analysis that entails creative AI tools, and finding the stack of business AI tools that are right for you. So for a vision of how the future looks, we'll allow you to get in touch with Rain. We'll talk about how to get in touch with her at the end of this. But in addition, she's just a delightful person and has a very energetic and positive energy that just exudes from her. So it's going to be a fun interview today. And so welcome, Rain. Thank you very much to joining the AI Coach Connection.
Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, I'm so excited to be part of this group and to be able to talk with you guys today. And also for that really sweet end piece on the introduction. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Your energy is infectious. That's for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Indeed. Indeed.
So I'll turn it over to my partner, Gwen, and she's going to ask you some questions, and we'll do this interview style if that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Again, Rain, we're so delighted you could be here with us. I would love it if you could share maybe a little bit about your journey into AI, how you became an expert, particularly in AI graphic design and content creation.
Yeah, so very mixed background, art, science, tech, design, and a very nerdy desire to check out the latest tech tools are all kind of threads in my journey. I've been doing business graphic design for the last few years and really learning how to apply business logic and principles. But when generative AI hit just 1 year ago today is the birthday actually, I was really in. Rapidly and really excitedly adopting and seeing where I could be applying this and figuring out how I could be applying this in my graphic design and in my business. So woven together, that's kind of my start.
Very cool. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned the 1 year anniversary.
A very timely meeting today.
Exactly. For ChatGPT. I saw when I logged on today, the little party hat. Shifting a bit, your recent talk at AImpact was a huge hit. I was actually just rewatching it, as I shared with you a few minutes ago. And I'd love if you could maybe share some key takeaways. I know we're sort of tying our talk today into that just a bit, but I'd love to hear a little bit about that presentation that are going to be relevant for today.
Yeah, so at the AImpact that we both spoke at just like 3 or 4 weeks ago now,
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway is that AI tools like ChatGPT, if used well, they can give you the most incredible insights that can really powerfully guide your content creation and so much more. So as business people, all of us business people, before you ever even touch the design tools, whether it be Canva, Photoshop, or others, really do some digging to understand exactly what the audience needs to see and what they need to hear so you as a business person can have the strongest impact on them. Otherwise, it's all just guesswork.
Indeed, it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back to one of those marketing foundations. You really do have to know your audience before you start messaging to them.
Exactly. Yeah. And now AI allows us to know them just so much better and so much deeper.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. The data analysis addition has been mind-blowing. Exactly.
Yeah.
So talking about AI powered tools for business, what really inspired you to kind of take that focus? You know, and again, if you could maybe even frame this around our audience of coaches and consultants, online entrepreneurs. Yeah, so your AI tool selection, where do you kind of find your tools, and what attracts you most when you you know, when you hit on something?
Okay, so like I said, just because as a bit of an intro into these things, I'd been doing business related graphic design, so with lots of experience in that. But I had also worked with a lot of coaches and consultants in this amazing 4-month project that I worked on. That was a 4th bonus day virtual live summit where we were focusing on media, earned media, PR, and speaking for authors, coaches, and consultants. So at that breakthrough media summit, both the speakers, but also the participants, like I said, whom were coaches, consultants, it really gave me an insight into that world, getting really, really inspired. And with that kind of lens that I'm now able to bring to it, I can see like, oh, this fits for a coach. This tool fits for a coach. This process could also be applied to consultancies. So yeah, kind of all aspects feeding into the way I look at it, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I love that, background and that experience kind of informing how you know, move forward, particularly related to coaches and consultants. So you have that experience with them.
It was a very good tool in the tool belt.
Absolutely. And you, as someone who does a lot of presentations in speaking gigs, and as somebody who, you know, identifies as a Gen Z speaker, kind of what unique perspectives do you bring to the world of AI, and maybe even to the world of business that could benefit our audience?
So I definitely identify as a Gen Z speaker. And I think what makes us distinct, first, is because we're the first cohort that came up as digital natives. So automatically we see things a little bit differently. We see tech a little bit differently. In addition to that, it means that my business and design learning curve started well into the digital era. So the latest approaches from 4 years ago were my starting point. So it was a really nice foundation there. Then with that, making the lateral jump into AI, a lot more natural. So basically the difference is, I think for me, not being tied to kind of previous ways of doing things, a eager willingness to jump and try new tech and tools, but also always keeping a critical eye and remembering we're in the very early stages of this, you know, so don't get too tied, too attached to any set of tools, because it could all be changing in the next week, you know? So flexibility, I guess you could sum it up. Tech, excited and flexible.
And I'm going to jump in and just how do you avoid the overwhelm of seeing so many different tools coming out? So, right. So I think that's a challenge for lots of coaches, and especially solo coaches and consultants, et cetera, is just a constant barrage. And you know, many of us who enjoy tech chase the shiny object syndrome a lot. And so, yeah, how do you make sure that you stay on track?
Yeah,
keep aware.
That's a good question.
But not get off track.
Definitely at the start, when ChatGPT first launched, I think we were all getting tool fatigue. You know, it was like, oh my God, this and this and this and this. Like, the overwhelm was huge. But at this point, when we're kind of seeing the big players come to the forefront, like ChatGPT, that's at this point doing so many of the functionalities, and I'm going to get into this more later about kind of wrapper tools. But now that we have the big guns, the big platforms like ChatGPT that are encompassing all those functionalities of the smaller tools that you could get a little bit sidetracked with, I think that's where I focus, and I tell my clients to focus, while always keeping an eye to what's coming out. For example, the new upgrade to Pika that was just discussed or just launched. a few days ago. That's something really big, you know, text to video that could be something like the Midjourney development that we saw in the last year. Like that's something to keep an eye out. But little things that come up, maybe check them out, but always kind of gravitate back to the strong tools. That's
Yeah.
my method.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I found the same thing to be true, that every tech tool that was mentioned in every newsletter, I wanted to go look at and check out, and would end
And
up.
we definitely did check them all out and test them all out, and we had spreadsheets full of them, and now ChatGPT does most of them. So
Exactly. And finding those right tools, in particular in these ocean waves of tools that are available, is so daunting. So it's nice that we are starting to see the ChatGPTs, the Claudes, even Bard, sort of fitting the bill with more, more capabilities.
I
Image
think the
generation,
question
and now
more becomes, how do you, in your niche, use these tools instead of which one of the tools, which one of the many, 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 small tools can I be using? Like, how do I use this for me? Leverage
absolutely. Absolutely. Backing up a bit, I would love it if you could maybe briefly explain the concept of AI-powered design and how it can help revolutionize rather content creation.
Yeah, so I feel like at this point, AI-powered design is kind of, I love to call myself the AI-powered graphic designer, and everything that we're doing is the AI-powered. But I feel like it's kind of when Adobe first launched Photoshop, like, was that a new type of graphic design, or was that just a new step in the evolution of graphic design? I think now that we're in the age of AI, it's the next step, and I think it already is kind of, common practice for a lot of graphic designers, but I think it's just graphic design incorporating these new firepower tools that we have. And of course, using these tools in my graphic design, a big part of it is about efficiency. Huge part of it is about cutting down time and, putting more focus on the creativity and not like the nitpicky little small things that I used to have to do. But one of the biggest parts that you touched on and that I'm going to get more into is the insights that the AI can give you. And when I say insights, I don't mean some little like, oh, that's interesting kind of insights. I mean like the type of insights, not like with a kid looking at it with a kid's magnifying glass, but like taking out your laboratory microscope and really like getting granular, those kinds of insights. And that is what we at my design agency apply to all of our design projects. And excited to be getting into that a little bit more later too with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to share the link to your website. There's a carousel out there I was looking at today that is like mind-blowing and so beautifully simple and perfect, I think, for people who are looking for tools. But first, I would love if you could give us a glimpse into these 3 AI analyses that we've been talking up, that you're going to be sharing with us, and why they're crucial for the content creation process.
So like you said, today I'm going to be talking about the 3 AI analysis processes that my agency and I developed. And they are at the core of everything that we do in our design projects, throughout design projects. I'll start with the last of the 3 because that's where my team really got started. And that is, who is the audience for this thing? And when I say thing, I mean whatever I'm designing for, whatever piece of content, because I want to know everything that I can know about the target audience before I create the content that can really get into their head. To create that kind of in-depth audience analysis, I need to know everything possible about first the product and service that they are an audience for, and to get the best analysis and profile on that to accurately represent their business character. Then with that, I need to also understand the company. So those 3 pieces together end up giving us really, really juicy outputs. And those are the 3 processes that I'm going to be talking about and that we have developed.
Ooh, fun. Well, frankly, whenever you are ready to start sharing some of that more granular information, please take it away, because yeah, I'm really eager, and I know our audience are eager to find out more about how this is done, how these analyses are done.
Definitely. If you don't mind, I'll share my screen and I can dive into my demonstration. Okay,
Please.
let me share screen. So everyone can see the screen.
Looks great.
Amazing. So I will dive right in because I'm frankly very excited. Okay, so thank you, Gwyn. Like I said, we're going to be talking about AI-powered insights, and today for coaches and consultants, and our 3 analysis processes that I had just mentioned. So rewind a little bit and a little bit of a reintroduction of myself. I'm one of the principals of the Of Course Digital Agency, a pioneering design company where data science and artificial intelligence converge with the art of design. And as I said, I'm the AI-powered graphic designer with a background in both science and design, bringing to life visually stunning campaigns that are as effective as they are eye-catching, thanks to our data-driven insights that we get from AI processes that we've developed for this purpose. So not with me today is my co-founder, she is a seasoned business consultant, mechanical engineer, and instructional designer who is the architect of our unique AI analysis processes. We leverage AI not just as a tool in our agency, but as a fundamental part of our creative process, ensuring that each project that we do is as strategically sound as it is aesthetically remarkable. And that definitely comes from her mechanical engineer, structural thinking applied to everything. So we do this by, like I said, prefacing each project with a deep, in-depth AI-based research and analysis. And that really allows us to craft laser-focused marketing materials for our clients that aren't just creative, but they're also precisely tailored to nail our content's goals. First, by deeply understanding their business, their market, by identifying and getting deep into the heads of the people that they need to reach. So in this talk today, I'm going to look at Gen AI, briefly look at the first year, how it's rolling out worldwide, and what that really means for you, what it means for all of us. I'm going to be sharing some of the more exciting ways we're using AI in our agency, very exciting for us and our clients. And then we're going to reverse engineer those processes so that everyone here can understand how to use these processes, and together we can ride this AI wave. So a little bit of a review. If you guys are anything like us, this has been a hell of a year. It's been one of the most exciting years in technology in our lifetime. And we're actually living in what is being recognized as the 4th industrial revolution, the AI revolution. And in our agency, we've been saying since last January that the best approach for the individual in the face of the oncoming tsunami of the AI age is to quickly figure out how you are going to ride this wave and get damned proficient at it. So we actually published this article. This was the cover of it about 5 months ago, and all about what we have to do to position ourselves. So that's the question. We as individuals, how do we get up to speed and best position ourselves to ride this AI wave? So the first, stay within your expertise. Sure, it's very exciting that AI might give you the perfect chance to break into a new field of research, but research, the best research that we have so far in this realm, actually, it's Boston Consulting Group in collaboration with Harvard Business School and MIT Sloan School of Management showed that the power of AI in the hands of professionals operating within their expertise, it really showed that outside their expertise, professionals performed 19% worse than their peers not using AI. So what's really important here is we have to figure out the best niche for you within your field, and you have to become the AI-powered expert there. So the second thing for individuals to really focus on is learn AI prompting. The Office of Chief Technology Officer of Microsoft reports, very unsurprisingly, that the quality of the prompt determines the quality of the prompt determines the quality and the relevance of the output. So unfortunately, a great percentage of the hallucinations and the meaningless outputs reported by users of good AI tools like ChatGPT are actually down to crappy prompting, which is not what we like to hear, but we all have to work on our AI prompting. A third thing, apply critical evaluation. So apply it both to the tools that you choose and the outputs that you get. You know, no one ever said that generative AI is magic and that you can just kind of grab the output, publish it without really casting a critical eye. And this kind of goes back to the first point that we talked about, how you can evaluate the results, or how can you really evaluate the results that you get without the knowledge of the field if you're not in that field. So a really great thing to do here is apply the crap test. So in this test, whatever content you're looking at or reading, is it current, relevant? What is the authority, the accuracy, and the purpose? A fourth thing to focus on for us in this AI age is to choose your tools wisely. Find out which tools are the most relevant for your purposes, kind of like we were saying, Gwen. Check in with others in your field using AI and see what they're using. I think this group is a great place to be doing that because, you know, there's lots of collaboration and sharing. And again, know that a lot of the tools that sprang up in this last year in 2023, they're wrapper tools. So they're just wrappers riding on a ChatGPT API, and most of the tools actually got wiped out on Dev Day on November 6th when OpenAI announced customizable GPTs, but we'll get into that a little bit more later. So a little bit more on tools. Do your own research. Very important. So a little bit more on tools. So many tools have come out this year, just like we were talking about, you know, tool fatigue. How do you choose the right ones for you? This diagram was super current 3 to 4 months ago, which is almost like a century in AI years now. But this was considered to be the best of the many thousands of other tools that sprang up in 2023. But unfortunately, many of these were the wrapper platforms that I was talking about. And now they're in crisis mode as of Dev Day, because they announced that they are giving the power to users to create their own tools within ChatGPT, and most of them are doing these functions. Very unfortunate for those. So here's a beautiful breakdown that speaks to how you can, you know, choose some of the bigger tools for you and your purposes. It's a really simple breakdown of the recommended foundational tools for these overarching categories. Now we use these 5 categories heavily almost every day. The top 5 categories almost every day, but let's go through them. So for reading and writing text, hands down ChatGPT. Now, before the dev conference announcing the increased token limit of ChatGPT, the wisdom was use Claude for longer texts. But now that ChatGPT can handle hundreds of pages of text, that you can actually input a book at this point, it's right back to the top for this category. So our next category for image creation, one of my favorites, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and DALL-E 3 are my go-tos. I would say DALL-E 3 that's now within ChatGPT 3.4 is the most user-friendly and accessible. If you have that paid ChatGPT account, you can be using natural language prompts and be getting stunning photos or stunning images. So for analyzing images, GPT Visual gives graphic designers like myself who know how to use it a huge advantage. We actually tested this back in July when Bard went multimodal. And unfortunately, it gave back ridiculously poor results, but we actually compared again ChatGPT and Bard in September. That was when GPT Visual was launched. Bard still performed very poorly, but ChatGPT Visual was surprisingly good. So that is the go-to for analyzing images. So if you need real-time information, so something like a Google search, Perplexity, ChatGPT with plugins, Google Bard, Microsoft Bing are my choices in that order. I love Perplexity. For analyzing data, so this is a big part of the process that I'm going to be talking about today. But ChatGPT Advanced Data Analysis is the best I found, and that's compared to Bard, Bing, and Claude. For writing code, now in our agency, we're not currently using AI to write code, but highly rated by those who are, GitHub Copilot, AWS Code Whisper, ChatGPT 4, and locally run models such as Code Llama. And our final category for sensitive and restricted information. So businesses who want to harness AI, but don't want to be putting their private data on a platform that can't guarantee perfect security and privacy, locally run models are the go-to solution. So out of this big, beautiful list, you might notice the prevalence of ChatGPT, particularly in the top 5 categories that we use daily. So it's not a surprise that ChatGPT 4 to be exact, is our tool of business operation. Now, ChatGPT 3 is free, and it's trained on 570 gigabytes of text data, which is pretty good compared to where we were last year. But ChatGPT 4, my love, the paid version is trained on 1.6 terabytes of text data, and has the multimodal, the visual feature, the advanced data analysis, and DALL-E 3 image creation, and the option to use any of the 1,000 incredible plugins the community has built over the last 5 months. So this is what we use. And beyond the AI starter kit table that I just showed you in the last slide, there are a few more use cases, specifically for coaches and consultants who want to be using AI. So 6 great use cases are for generation, whether that's text or image, extraction, summarization, great if you want to be summarizing the meeting content with your clients. Like I said, very efficient for administrative tasks, question answering, classification, rewriting. That's one that we use a lot. But in reality, the potential use cases are so much broader. And I'm sure all of you are using at least 5 to 6, if not way more of these. In our agency, we regularly use 12 of these. But in the demo today, we're actually going to focus on 7. 7 are going to come into play, particularly predictive analysis. So with that, I would love to jump right into the demonstration. So it might be a bit of a surprise, but the AI in AI-powered graphic design isn't just about making cool mid-journey images. 99.99% of the stuff that people produce on those AI image sites is unfortunately usually unusable for marketing content beyond video games and psilocybin retreats. Now, what most people think marketing is, and unfortunately, including some businesses that actually pay for in-house marketers, is making aesthetic pictures for websites, business cards, and attractive brand assets. But what marketing should and what it can be is powerful profit-driving content that, one, gets in front of the right people with the exact psychological message that bores into their head and drives sales. You want your clients to be saying, "Take my money." And that's the goal here for all of us, I think. Now, whether that's marketing visuals or even copy, nothing that you create on AI is going to magically achieve that without a ton of deep analysis, insights, and strategy behind it. And that is where AI transforms marketing design from whimsical guesswork to data-driven design that drives sales. But then that begs the question, where do you get this amazing data that you can keep drilling down on until you know exactly what you need to produce to achieve your goal? Now, as a designer, I don't get that from 99.9% of my clients. 1, because they don't usually know this stuff themselves, and 2, because the people that have been assigned to stick handle the marketing and graphic design are usually so far removed and poorly briefed themselves that it's a bit of that game of one person whispering to the next, and the final story you get out is not at all close to the original intent. So a good AI-powered designer has to get that information themselves. Otherwise, the final product is, politely said, ineffectual crap. You have to go through dozens of revisions. You hate the client. They didn't get what they needed. They hated every minute of it. So for this reason, over time, we've created the data mining process that we need at a minimum to create killer content. So the minimum 3 data sets that we need to effectively execute the development, design, and delivery of the exact visual content that our client needs, and this might sound pretty simplistic, is what their business is, what they sell, and who they sell it to. And I, as a designer, need to know these things in as much detail as I can get my hands on, because these bodies of knowledge are absolutely foundational information. And they are actually the building blocks for what we do, and really so many other operations within a business. So these 3 silos of intel are the key to killer content, as we call it. Marketing content that gets the best ROI for the client. And non-surprisingly, these 3 things are also exactly what your AI tools need to know at a very minimum to really work for you and your business. So it is for this very purpose that we have developed a 3-process AI analysis sequence that gets the data that we need now for design and for future use anywhere else in our business. So these multi-step analysis processes give us that fundamental data that I mentioned. Now, originally, these processes were developed just for ourselves in-house at the agency, but because these processes yield such rich, a fleshed out picture of these 3 key domains and how they play together, and they really give us everything that we need to know to laser target exactly what our designs have to be. We've just developed them further and further. And with this intel that we get from these 3 analyses, and in addition to any client requests or stipulations, we now have everything that we need to get a very focused vision of what we need to design for our clients. Now, all of these 3 analysis sequences, but particularly the 3rd, the audience analysis, were the gold that we were originally looking for when we started using these processes. It gives us such an incredible wealth of info on the audience that we need to design for, the people that our clients are marketing and selling to. And this is right down to things like their dreams, their fears, what drives them, what repels them, down to the words, sentiments, colors, styles that speak to them. And that really excites me, but I think it should really excite everyone here too, because imagine knowing this data that you can harness for your content to target your clients that you've already tapped and untapped clients as well. So not all businesses can be handled in the same way. So we've created 4 analysis workflows, depending on whether the company is a B2B, B2C, established business, or a startup. And the workflows are going to be different for each of those scenarios. But one of the most powerful abilities that AI, that we can tap into with these AI processes, especially in the realm of startups, which are businesses that don't have years of data to leverage in their analyses, is the ability to draw upon the billions of data points that LLMs have been trained on to leverage what is called industry benchmarks and analogous data, to be able to extrapolate with stunning accuracy to give us actionable insights and information that were never before available to the vast majority of businesses. So with that, let's dive in and look at our first process. Now, for this demonstration, we're going to be using a fictional startup named Internet for All. And the basic criteria for this company is they are a B2C. They're a startup, so they're selling to individual consumers. And because of that, we're going to be using the B2C startup workflow that we developed, which will, as I just mentioned, rely on the industry benchmarks and analogous data that ChatGPT is going to be drawing upon. Now, the main purpose for this first process is primarily the all-important GPT-friendly contextualizing summary of the business. This is a concise piece of contextualized copy that can be added to any future prompts related to this business. This is the juicy bit of this output. But because this process can also generate other valuable business profile related copy for things like your website, official business plans, and investor pitches, we've designed this prompt to also generate other optional outputs like the value statement, mission statement, company raison d'etre, investor facing elevator pitch, and so much more, because why not if you can have all that data at your disposal? So for this business profile analysis process, to gather the very basic info that we need from the clients, we created our own business profile questionnaire that we go through with them. So this template data is then fed into our ChatGPT prompt for their business analysis. Now, once we input this data into GPT-4, we received detailed insights. Now, for the Internet for All B2C startup, I asked GPT for these specific items, which are super important for the startup. But for this process specifically, the gold for me as the designer is the part that I had just mentioned, the GPT-friendly contextualizing summary. This little piece of information, this little nugget of text, can now be used over and over in any future prompts, letting ChatGPT immediately have the data that it needs for your AI business processes. So that's like a store it away and save that. So next up, we want to do a similar process, but on the company's product or service. So we're focusing on for our design project to get the data that we need, but again, especially that GPT-friendly product profile. So again, we've created a template to gather that initial product or service data, and then we're going to drop that right into the first prompt of the sequence. So this gives us a super useful product profile that is so powerful for various aspects of your business and your teams. And from that, we also get the, again, GPT-friendly contextualizing product or service summary to use in all future prompts related to this product or service. The gold. So at this point, we have two very important foundational pillars for powerfully utilizing ChatGPT for your business. And the outputs of these two analyses then go into our third and final AI analysis process to get what we really need, the gold of this entire thing, the audience analysis, segmentation, and other incredibly juicy details. So this third analysis process, the audience analysis for this product, is where we start compounding the value of those first two analyses. And that is the audience analysis for this product. Now, it's been broken down into 3 separate prompts, initially due to the previous token limit of ChatGPT, but also due to the crazy length of the data-laden prompts, and to better manage the analysis and outputs. So in this initial prompt of the 3, I'm establishing the chatbot role and sequence context for this process. Now, I don't usually like to give complex prompts to then get a huge output only to find it didn't accurately understand the role and context of my desired analysis. So I run the prompt and get confirmation. And then the second prompt, which gives the instructions for the desired action and constraints, I'm just showing the top part here. One, because like the last one, it's over 60 lines long, and because it's agency proprietary material. But in this step of the sequence, we're feeding the product profile, which combines the relevant info from the first 2 analyses. So at this point, I told it to hold fire I would follow up with a third prompt, giving it the criteria and constraints that I want for the final analysis. And as usual, I told the chatbot to ask me any questions, which is a really good thing to keep in mind when you're working with ChatGPT, because, you know, you could be feeding it more information you didn't know it should know. So I said, ask me any questions, and it did. And it actually indicated that based on the service, there would be a wide variety of demographics, and it asked me how it should handle that. So at this point, we chatted back and forth, and I settled on, please identify the top 5 largest demographics, and then give me a complete breakdown on each. So basically, ChatGPT, please provide a customer segmentation analysis. Now, the output of this is going to provide me with a ton of information, context, and insights for my design process that I really would never have had access to before, as well as being an incredibly rich trove and insights for my client. So with that settled, I gave GPT the third prompt. Again, it's truncated here for the length. This one is much longer. This being a demanding list of details and data that I want for each of the 5 demographics for the B2C company. So its output here, it identified the top 5 demographics the company could be targeting, prioritized by size. Now, that just in itself is so exciting. This is audience segmentation and the top 5 demographics. Like, imagine if you can have that data for your consultancy or your coaching practice, you know, what new people can I be targeting? This is juicy information. And then it delivered a breathtaking report. I love this, this part of the process. It's just amazing intel and data and context. So this is an incredibly rich foundation to start building a design plan. This is much more detail than our clients ever would be able to give us in a discovery call to then for us to create the proposal or design brief. And really more than you'd be able to glean from your target audience without the assistance of AI. So instead of that pre-AI process of creative ideation, brainstorming, and a ton of guesswork, we're able to, with these processes, start extremely dialed in to what's going to make an effective design for this client and for their audience. Just imagine how much easier it is to plan and design your content and your marketing strategy with this kind of intel. The words, the colors, sentiments, symbols, the kinds of images that will most effectively resonate with your target audience, the people that you need to reach. And this is just the first iteration. You can actually drill down on any aspect that you want to go deeper on of this massive output and get more and more rich insight. So those were what we call our fundamental 3 analyses. We can then make use of all of that data and the analysis outputs to get back to ChatGPT and start having it really flesh out our content and or marketing strategy. So we can also take this fundamental data and go in many other directions with future analyses. These are just some of the possibilities. Competitive analysis, partnerships and collaborations. I can imagine that could be very useful for coaches and consultants. Lead generation optimization. So with a combination of the 3 that I've demonstrated here today and other business inputs, ourselves at the agency and now everyone here that we can be harnessing this, we're sitting on a gold mine. And additionally, for designers, for ourselves as designers, it means we're just taking out the guesswork. So the outputs that you got from the previous analyses, the GPT-friendly contextualizing summaries of the business profile, of the product and or service, and of the audience, can then be put into a GPT, the personal customized GPT for your business or for your client's business. Like in this example. I'm sure lots of you are already experimenting and building GPTs yourself. So after all of that is said and done, I do admit The analysis workflows that my team and I have developed are a little bit complex. So if you wanted to DIY this yourself for your business, I would reverse engineer it. To get the answers that you need from ChatGPT, I want to go over this with you and kind of think of this like an operation, a mathematical equation. So the value that you're solving for is, what content should I be producing for my audience? And the variables the ChatGPT calculator needs to give you that answer are your business profile, your product and service profile, your audience profile, and all of that multiplied by your business goals. So with that information, ChatGPT will be able to tell you exactly what content you need to be producing. And you can make ChatGPT walk you through the process with a continuous series of prompts till you get exactly what you want. So your prompt should first describe the role the chatbot is to take in this thread. Tell it what you want, and ask it the questions that it needs to ask you to accomplish that. To make it more manageable, I ask it to break its requirements out into categories and then ask it to give me questions for each, so we can get a lot more granular. And this will also give you a well-formatted overview for the scope of what a full analysis will entail. So the output will look something like this, a little bit overwhelming, but don't worry, you don't have to answer all of these questions. Of course, if you can, and fold all of them into a mega prompt, you're going to get some mind-blowing outputs, but just take it as you can. And with any of these categories or individual questions within the categories, you can choose to delve deeper and ask ChatGPT to ask you more questions to flesh out those topics. For example, here is the business overview section. So for nature of business, I would ask it to expand on and ask me all the questions that it needs answered to flesh this part out. So you can use that process for all and any category or question, and ChatGPT will give you a concise summary you can use for further processes. So once you have all the categories of the business overview in hand, you can start a new thread dedicated to audience analysis and use a prompt asking for a complete audience analysis breakdown and segmentation, supplying the 4 summaries that you got from the previous business overview, and all the criteria that you want the audience analysis to cover. So then you would check through the output that you get, which should be amazingly detailed and informative. If there are any sections of it that you want to delve deeper, just iterate until you have all the information that you want. So with that is the AI-powered insights that I wanted to cover today for coaches and consultants. A little bit of a breakdown on our 3 AI analysis processes, hopefully reverse engineering that so that it's actually applicable and potentially DIY-able for everyone listening. And I would love to move on to questions.
Absolutely. Rain, thank you so much for such a deep and enlightening presentation. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yes, I would love to open it up for questions, Bruce or any of our audience members.
Yeah, I'll try to just curb how many questions I'm going to ask.
I know. I was going to say, I know you'll have a bunch.
And I remember my first role as a corporate product manager and trying to do a segmentation analysis. We spent probably $100,000 in doing market research, with starting with focus groups and then all the surveys and then doing
the money and time that you put into it. And
oh yes,
incredible.
Yeah, and now you're able to do that in, if you do it well in a few hours, right? If you do it poorly, you do it in minutes, but taking the time to do it right. So one of my questions for you is Are you putting in or tying it to some databases in the back end that like consumer databases or other kinds of databases, or is this stuff coming out of GPT natively?
You can be pulling in other databases, definitely. But we kind of iterate our process. So we'll go with our first kind of, let's see what the output's going to be. And if it's not rich enough, tie in those databases
Got it.
for
Yeah, yeah,
B2B. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Especially
And
like I was saying, if you're a startup, you're not going to have a lot of data to go on. But if you are a B2B and you are a well-established B2B, we can, build your own GPT, input all of those data, all of that data, if the company wants to, if not, kind of a pared down look at that data.
right.
And yeah,
But you're
there's
getting
lots of
pretty
different.
exceptional stuff out of GPT on its own without.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because if you think about it as just being, you know, a large language model being nothing more than a word predictor to come
Oh
up
yeah.
with something, as aligned and relevant and informed as what you've shown us is pretty mind-boggling to think.
Yeah.
There's way more behind it than what we've been told these GPT or the large language models can do. There's way more
Yeah.
intelligence behind there.
Yeah. And it really goes back to, prompt in, output out. Like you have to be, I kind of don't like the term prompt engineering, but that's
I
really
hate
what
it.
it ends up coming down to. You really have to, okay, how do we structure this? And that's where the instructional designer on the team comes in. How do we structure this to get the output that we need, and then keep ratcheting that up until we're getting that real high quality output?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you talked earlier about using ChatGPT vision for being able to analyze images, and that's an area that I don't really understand the power of its use. So, how have you guys used ChatGPT vision to maybe look at other designs and maybe analyze them, or how have you done that?
Yeah, so we started our experiments by putting in images that we had created. Actually, initially it was images that someone else had given us and said, please fix this. And then we later put images we created ourselves. But like any process with ChatGPT, first, what can you see here? What are your limitations? What can you do with this? What can you tell us about this? And once you kind of have an understanding of what it can read from the image, like initially it couldn't even tell us the correct color. Initially it said, there's a light bulb in this image. And no, I'm sorry, there's no light bulb. That was barred, by the way. Nothing against ChatGPT. ChatGPT was always very good with the image analysis. But really, you can be putting, it depends what you want to do with it. You can be putting it in and saying, how is this for structure and layout? If it's a piece of content that you want to create, or you can put this in and say, if you're looking at this from a user or from a customer perspective, where are the eyes going to land the most? And based on that, where should I be moving things around? Or is that, it'll tell you things down to the kerning of this text is a little bit, unesthetically pleasing, or the color combination, it can suggest a new color palette. Like, I think, yeah, the applications are endless. It can be used for UX, UI design, graphic design, or even for entrepreneurs like coaches and consultants, where they want to put their content in that perhaps they made on Canva or Photoshop and say, what can I fix about this? Or, based on
Yeah,
my
that's
audience, what could be adapted?
I see that as maybe the best thing that solopreneurs can do is find other things that are working out there, decode them for what makes them so good, and then put out their draft designs and say, how can I make it better? How can I make it more like this? That would be
Definitely.
awesome. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. What would be the single overriding principle that you would tell solopreneurs who are just stepping into the space and trying to get their arms around their brain around AI and how they use it in their business, and not be completely overwhelmed and go to bed every night with their brain exploding?
Probably training. Understand the tools that you're working with. You know, once you have an idea and you have experimented and you understand how the tool works and you understand how you can use it for, you know, a little bit for your purpose, whether that's like just very basic level, get more and more understanding and hopefully training on the tools. That really simplifies everything, right? Just getting clarity.
Yeah.
And I think
So
being in something like this group is just the thing.
good. So you said a couple things there. One was experimenting, and I've heard that many times that, and I think we also know that learning in a fun environment, the brain is much more relaxed, and therefore we can absorb more. So the idea of play, you know, in addition to kind of experimenting, but just playing with it. And
Yeah,
by
definitely.
that, you're just spending more time with it. And so there's a comfort level. When I have studied technology adoption models, there's, you know, there's two main factors, and one is the performance you think you're going to get out of it, the performance expectancy. So what am I going to be able to accomplish with this? Then there's the effort expectancy. How much effort am I going to have to put in to learn this? Okay, that's, as a digital native, you know, things come more easily to you than people who are not, because you just assume the technology's in there. But learning that, you know, overcoming that effort expectancy to be able to do it. And then the last one is as a social influence. So if many of your peers are using it and you can learn from your peers, then you will jump in and learn it more. So those are kind of three key principles of adopting new technology.
I think that wraps up really, or that ties everything really really nicely together and points in the direction of be in a community like yours, or be on LinkedIn and kind of be looking to not influencers in the space, but thought leaders in the space who are doing things aligned or maybe parallel, or, you know, a bit advanced that what you're doing to what you're doing, but you can look to them and go like, oh, maybe I can try to recreate that, or, you know, oh, I see how that use case applies to me. Let me kind of play with that. And so you have like the fun gamified, you know, semi-gamified aspect. And yeah, it ties that all together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Does anyone else from the group have a question for Rain? Yeah, Gabriel.
I'm checking the chat. Did I miss some questions?
Hi, Rain. First, I want to thank you so very much. It was so sweet, so powerful, so analytical, very well laid out. Thank you so much. I got a lot out of it.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was really, really good. My question for you as a graphic designer, AI-powered, I like AI-powered designer. First, I have a question. You know, in Japan, you know, you have all these type of graphic design, the people, that style of graphic, what is it called?
Manga?
Anime.
Anime and manga?
Manga. Okay, manga, that one. Is there some kind of AI tool to translate talking heads into manga type
into
output?
Yeah, certainly. If you wanted to animate manga?
Yeah, not just animate, but give the message out. Because, okay, background, Cialdini, you know, who the whole guy of persuasion, who is powerful guy, you know, if you go online and you look at his persuasion model, maybe he has 100,000 people. And then there is some guy who did a summary of what he does and put it in graphic things, and he has millions.
Oh, wow.
So for me, if we want to really reach a lot of people, this is what we need. And if I'm wondering if there is some kind of tool in AI which allows us to translate.
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm trying to think, the talking heads thing that you said is sticking in my mind. So if you did want to make those talking heads speak, there is an AI platform called HeyGen, and I believe they're one of the leaders in the space, where you can take an image, or you can even create a 3D avatar, AI avatar. For example, I took an AI image of a person that I created, fed it a script, and now all of a sudden it's moving. It still looks 2D, but it's moving and it's talking. you know, so you could do that to animate the manga that you're talking about. In terms of the translation, if you wanted to translate the text, perhaps, I know that Canva has a translation function now, and I also know that DALL-E 3 is kind of moving more into translation of other languages of text when they create images, because at this point they're creating beautiful text in their images. If you wanted to, let me see, translate the language, there is an application called, what's it called? The Captions app, I believe. And say you had created the video where you animated that manga image. So it's talking, but it's speaking in Japanese. You could then pull that, let me see. Captions app, I think HeyGen also does this, the initial thing that I mentioned. You can then go German, English, any language you want, and it will actually cover the mouth and make it look like it's speaking the language that you want it to speak, you know, AI kind of visuals in the moment. So it will change the language and the visual. So now you can have perhaps an English-speaking manga character, animated manga character, or
Okay.
Korean or Spanish.
Yes.
Did I answer your question?
Kind of. How do you spell Asian? That
Hey, let me put them in the chat. So
Okay,
the first one that I
perfect.
mentioned,
Yeah, Gwen
yes,
just
thank
did
you,
that.
Gwen. So
Yeah.
the first one I mentioned was HeyGen. And the second tool I mentioned, I think the one that's going to be more important, is Captions app.
Captions app. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But my question was really geared toward not just a translation from Japanese to Spanish or English like this, but how to take Cialdini as a talking head. We had a powerful message,
Mm-hmm.
and take the message and actually put it in graphics. So illustrate what he's saying.
Okay. So that could be done in a couple ways. I know that Midjourney is doing a great job of that, and also DALL-E 3 in ChatGPT. So people are doing things like putting in a quote or a sentence from his talk, for example, and the AI will take that and it will generate what it envisions that represents. And sometimes you get something right on the money, you know, like, oh, that is exactly representative of that quote. Sometimes it's a bit off, but that could be a way that you could represent what someone's saying. It also occurs to me, someone recently put, I believe, The Great Gatsby, the book, into ChatGPT 4 and said, give me images of all of the relevant scenes in this book. And it pumped out images, like beautiful Great Gatsby style images for all of those scenes. So that could be another way you do that.
Okay. That was just Midjourney?
The first one I mentioned was Midjourney, and then the second one with The Great Gatsby, that was ChatGPT. Okay. ChatGPT 4 is DALL-E. DALL-E 3.
DALL-E. Okay.
So
thank you so much.
I'm imagining a process, playing off what Gabe just said. I'm imagining a process of taking a piece of work that Robert Cialdini did and doing some decoding of the text into key concepts, and then turning those key concepts into some kind of visual prompts, and then feeding that either to DALL-E or to Midjourney. Yes, and then trying to put that into some kind of almost infographic design or long web page design or something like that, or even a, you know, ebook design or something like that that makes it colorful and fun and easy to read. So
yes, it's like for younger audience, you know, like for people who don't have time to listen to Cialdini, but, you know, looking at, I mean, for me, I was mind blown to really see the difference between so few people Cialdini got himself versus the guy who explained Cialdini with all these animations and graphics and stuff like that. It was like 100,000 more popular. Anyway, I'll send it to Gwen and Bruce, and you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of.
I would love to see that.
That would be awesome.
If you could send that to me somehow, good. Thank you.
I will. I'll get your address and send it to you, because for me, if we can do that, then we can use the power of ChatGPT to really popularize the knowledge that we are generating.
Yeah. A lot of people are doing that beautifully on YouTube and Shorts. creating
Exactly.
images representing a concept and then
Content.
creating short videos. Yeah.
That's, I feel, the
amazing.
power of ChatGPT, really, to educate the masses.
Definitely.
Otherwise, we're always dealing with brainiacs, intellectuals, people who can read and listen to.
And we stay very stratified.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you for
So a key piece of this whole process is the reverse engineering. And I just put a book into the chat. It's called Decoding Greatness by Ron Friedman. He's I believe he's a Harvard psychologist. But yeah, he's figured out a process of reverse engineering almost any kind of successful work, whether that's, if you want to be an author in the Harvard Business Review, or if you want to, be an author in Fast magazine, or, anything else you want to try and do, there is a process for looking at successful entities and reverse engineering it down into the concepts. And that used to be kind of difficult to do if you didn't have a tool like ChatGPT. But now that you can feed in, large amounts of data and say, what are the key concepts? Now, how would you turn that into a heuristic or a process? And then use that as your framework to build something new or better. So that's a key skill for the future.
Now that the token limits increased, you can power through a book and give me the key concepts. Or the power we have now is incredible.
Amazing.
That's fantastic.
I've been seeing this book around. I will finally read it now. Thank you for the link.
Yes, I'll double check it too.
Yeah, the level of detail that you have and your partner have taken this idea of doing company and market and audience research is just it's phenomenal. That was something that only major corporations and huge consulting firms could do in the past.
That's actually what I had said at the AImpact.
Good.
This gives us this power now.
It does. It is certainly democratizing business for solopreneurs, and so, or small companies. So yeah, the level of detail, I've not seen that in a long time, except for in very major corporations and large consulting groups. So that's phenomenal. And your ability to tie data and take it all the way down to what are those visual elements that are going to resonate with people, the key phrases and visual elements. So, going all the way from hardcore data analysis to something that's just as important as, what's going to resonate on the ad or on the web page is, I think, super, super fascinating and super, I just haven't seen anyone else doing that kind of stuff. So congrats to you and your partner for that.
Oh, thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you so much. It was really, I'm very happy to be able to share this with you.
Yeah, what an amazing and really powerful set of processes you all have developed. It truly is mind-blowing, the outputs that you're getting for your clients. And thank you for sharing with us how to sort of DIY this, which of course we'll be sharing with our community. And as well, of course, we've shared in the chat how to connect with you on LinkedIn. We've shared your YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you.
We've shared a link to, of course. Is there any other way or anything else you would like to share, either as a last tidbit or as a way to connect with you?
I think the biggest thing is let's connect on LinkedIn. That's that's my platform of choice. That's where I am present the most. That's where I love connecting with other business people, business professionals, and people in the AI space. So yes, please, 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 let's connect on LinkedIn. And as far as, I think you said advice or any tidbits, I think everyone in this group is, on the right track. If you're in this group, you're already with your mind focused on AI and what can we be doing with it? How can we be leveraging it in your business, in our businesses? So you're ahead of the curve, you're early adopters. I would just say, like I said in the presentation, leverage the AI to get those insights you really need before you're doing anything else, you know, creating the content in your business, whether that's copy or graphic. Keep upskilling with AI, learning, you know, the prompting, experimenting like we had talked about, stay current. Yeah, and continue to adopt and adapt.
Love it. Wonderful.
I-
Well, thank you again so much, Rain. We so appreciate
Oh, thank
your
you so much for
time, your
having me.
expertise. This has been really enlightening in so many ways.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Are you open to people contacting you and brainstorming with you, like a
Yes, please,
preliminary
please.
consultation?
Please
Okay.
contact me on LinkedIn and I'd love to chat.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Look
It
forward to
was
talking
really
to you, Gabriel.
Yeah, me too.
And
Super
I highly
sweet.
recommend that you look at their website, ofcoursepro.com. It is it's visually just very engaging, you know, and so this is really what state-of-the-art visual presentation looks like. So yeah, they live up to the reputation.
Oh, thank you.
Very good. ¿Y tú hablas español también, por supuesto?
Un poquito, un poquito.
Un poquito. Okay. Está
Ya
bien.
aprendiendo.
Beautiful.
Thank you, everyone, for a great session today. Thank you, Rain, so much for sharing with us. I see that your partner, September, is on here with us, too, kind of silently supporting you and cheering you on. We thank you so much for all the great work you do and your presence out in the community, giving this wisdom and helping inspire entrepreneurs of all ages who are interested in figuring out how to use AI to help, not only grow their businesses, but help humanity in the process. So I appreciate it. Appreciate both of you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was a pleasure and an honor being here and talking to you.